So you are thinking deodorant completely solves body odor? Nope. You are totally missing the mark there. For like 5,000 years, people were perfectly fine without antiperspirants, daily showers, or all those fancy sprays, and honestly, they probably smelled way better than you'd think. Okay, let's be for real here. Sweat, by itself, doesn't actually stink. Body odor, that is what happens when the bacteria hanging out on your skin start feasting on sweat, and then, they, poop out some seriously gnarly smelling stuff. So, modern deodorant, it either targets the bacteria, or it stops the sweat from happening. But way back when, like 5,000 years ago, none of that was going on, silch. Okay, so straight up, sweat itself doesn't smell, body odor. That is when the bacteria chilling on your skin chow down on sweat and, poop out these nasty smelling chemicals. So, modern deodorant either kills those bacteria or stops the sweat, but 5,000 years ago, none of that existed, lol. Now, the experiment, imagine 5,000 years of no clean water, no antibacterial soap, no hot showers. Ancient Egypt, poor people never bathed. Only rich folks had access to the Nile's clean water. Rome, public baths existed, but most people couldn't afford them. Sweat, dirt, bacteria, all trapped in clothes. Medieval Europe, bathing was deadly. People believed water carried diseases. They avoided washing for months, even years. 18th century France, King Louis XIV bathed twice in his life. The palace reeked of sweat and rot. Logically, the ancient world should have been a stinking hellhole. But history records, the opposite. So, here is what you do, right? Your gut feeling, your animal instinct, smelling kinda funky. Spray on more perfume, wash up more, change your clothes. That is, modern logic. But back in the day, oof, that was a total death trap. Masking smells with perfume, UWW, gross, stinky plus sweet, just equals this, totally nasty, overwhelming smell. Everyone could totally smell you from a mile away. Bathing all the time? No clean water back then, washing with dirty water. That just means more bacteria. And then your skin gets all messed up, which means more sweat, and guess what? Even more stink. Ugh. Changing clothes, PFFT. Fabric was, super expensive. Most people had, 1 or 2 outfits. They wore them till they literally fell apart. So yeah, your intuition? Totally useless. Even, dangerous. Okay, so, the first thing you gotta do to ditch Bo, let's rewind. Way back to, 3000 BCE in ancient Egypt, their secret, no sprays, no daily showers. Nope. Instead, they used, scented wax cones on their heads. Wild, right? So, these fancy Egyptians would pop these solid wax cones made from stuff like tortoiseshell, ostrich eggshells, myrrh, and cinnamon right on top of their heads. Then, the sun would slowly melt the wax, and this perfumed liquid would just drip down their bodies, covering their pits, neck, and skin. So, it didn't actually kill bacteria, but it did trap sweat and, naturally mask odor. So reason 1, wax is waterproof, so it stops sweat from, mixing with dirt. Reason 2, natural scents, like myrrh and cinnamon, they were antibacterial, so they slowed down bacteria growth. And reason 3, it was super cheap for the elites, and it lasted all day. Next up, ancient Rome from 500 BCE to 476 CE. So the Romans were just bathing? Nah, that is not cutting it. Their move. Oil and scrape. They'd slather themselves in thick olive oil. Sunday, forget water, forget soap. Then, they'd grab this curved metal thing, a strigil, and scrape off all the oil, sweat, dirt, and dead skin. Boom. All at once. It is kinda peeling a really grimy potato. And the outcome, skin felt clean, no sweat stuck around, and no buffet for bacteria. Here is why it worked. Reason 1. Olive oil basically grabs onto the dirt and sweat, making it super easy to scrape off in one go. Reason 2. The oil also left a protective layer, like a shield, stopping new bacteria from chilling on their skin. Reason 3, and get this, public baths were a thing, so this whole routine was accessible. Even regular folks could get in on it. Okay, so picture this, the darkest time for hygiene. We're talking medieval Europe from like the 5th to the 15th century. Ugh, no one was bathing, no clean water, and diseases were just running rampant. So what did they do? They had like 3 main weapons, spice balls, vinegar, and alum. So, like the fancy folks, they had these little metal balls, and inside, cloves, rosemary, sage, they'd sniff them to, block out the smellies. And, like regular people, they'd rub strong vinegar, on their pits and bodies. Yeah, 'cause vinegar, it makes your skin all acidic and bacteria. They hate that. Then there's alum powder. It is, like, this natural rock thing. Yeah, they'd smash it up into dust and, put it on their armpits and feet. It kills the bacteria and, soaks up the sweat. So, finally we get to the 18th and 19th centuries in Europe and America. Big time industrialization happening, but, no modern deodorant yet. So, what did they do? Basically douse themselves in perfume and use talcum powder. French nobles, especially, would soak their clothes in super strong perfumes, so they think lavender, rose, jasmine. And they'd even wear these little perfumed bags, right under their arms. For everyone else, it was pretty much talcum powder. That soft mineral stuff that's supposed to soak up sweat and cover up any, funky smells. So, the big question is, right, why did these methods actually work for, 5,000 years? And it is not just, oh, I am used to the smell. Nah. It is all about figuring out the enemy. Ancient humans, they weren't really fighting sweat itself, They were battling bacteria. And they weren't just, covering up the smell they were totally killing it. Modern deodorant? It is basically just a chemical hack to get to the same place. Kill bacteria, control sweat. But here's the kicker, right? The actual stuff hasn't changed in, 5,000 years. Ancient Egypt's wax. It is basically modern antiperspirant 70. It stops sweat. And that oil scrape thing from Rome? Totally like modern soap. Gets rid of the gross stuff, the bacteria. And then medieval alum, that is just modern deodorant killing bacteria. So, basically, every single hygiene product we have now is just a super fancy high-tech version of what people figured out ages ago. So, what's the history lesson here? Humans don't suddenly solve stuff with new gadgets. Nah, we solve it using old logic, but, jazzed up a bit. Body odor wasn't some new thing that just popped up. No! It's a human problem, and we've been solving it pretty smartly actually for 5,000 years. That smell of history thing. It is not a bad smell. Nah, it is more like wisdom, We humans, we never just smelled bad. We totally outsmarted that whole odor thing. Ha!